go. Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition, Crossing Realms Together. Laura, Karmic Path, Tarot with Attitude, and our special guest down below, Chasity Munoz from Unveiling Addiction. Welcome, everybody. Wow. Bangerang. Taking some time. Sorry if I was a little late clicking the go button, but hey, I'm with two beautiful women. My wife's watching, so everybody don't freak, okay? And we're shooting the breeze, and somebody brought up the 70s. So, hey, you couldn't shut the old man up. So there we go. Miss Laura, how are you today?
Hey, I am well. Actually, no, I'm not well. I've been complaining for the past half hour to you guys.
Here we go. All right, everybody. Now it's time to go get your coffee.
Damn it.
Let her get it out of her system.
Let her go.
I have 5 days off in a row. And I went to Florida. By the way, I haven't had 5 days off in a row in years.
Yeah.
And I'm in Florida.
And you know, most people will be like, well, lucky you. But how cold was it today in Florida? Everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
The high of 43, a little bit of sleet, windy, not good.
Yeah.
Not good. And it looks like I have a sunburn, but I don't. I haven't seen the sun since I've been here, but I've got a red lamp above me in this hotel room. So it looks like I'm sunburned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm in Fort Myers and it's pretty cold here too. So it's,
I'm not happy, man. So
yeah. No, Laura, I'm sorry. I know.
I'm going to Mexico.
There are things you need to know about Florida, and one of those are when the actual vacation time is. You don't come to Florida till May, okay? and you leave by June because then the heat's unbearable.
Yeah, I've skated by. Like I've gone in December, I've gone in January before, I've been in February, and I've always that's been good. But I guess I blew that karma up. I don't know.
I used to crack up when people, oh, you came now. The coldest part of Florida, the coldest time of the year in Florida. And you're here? Yeah.
10 degrees warmer where I live than it is here.
But, you know, and I got to meet Tootie just a minute ago. Yeah. Loved it. And she talked about one of the things about Florida is all the heated pools and the steam, you know?
Yeah.
Guess what? I haven't seen a heated pool in a year. Okay, it's just not even a thing up here. They're like, oh, hell no. Drain that sucker, wrap it up, and be done.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I came down with a handful of girlfriends, and man, I tell you, they're tired of hearing me bitch.
Yeah. Oh, man. That stinks, Laura. I'm sorry. You don't ever get a day off.
Hey, Donna. Yeah. Hey, guys. So, anyways, enough of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, can I do something here? Let me do a little laundry before we get started. Tarot with Attitude Friday night. I kind of filled Laura and Chastity in.
Yeah.
Y'all have been asking. I'm figuring it out. We're going to do a way I'm going to be live 8:30 again Friday night, but I'm going to come in and Gillian's going to help people. If you want a free reading, face to face, come in. Gillian will set you up in chat with a link to click, and you will be able to come live on air with me. I'm doing it. Y'all have asked for it, so therefore we're doing free readings, and we're going to do it that way, and I want to see what happens. Okay?
That is so awesome, Rob. I remember when I first started following you years ago, I was just so excited just to see my little name on the screen. So now you're doing, that's awesome. I love that.
That's something we're going to try this Friday night. So everybody be ready. And I need everybody to be there. You've been asking for it. So now I'm going to do it. Just everybody be patient with me and Gillian because it's a whole new way we're going to be doing it and everything will happen. But you will be able to be live on screen and I will do your reading face to face with you. So that'll be that. And then also, February 23rd, 4:00, I will be live on stage at the CABOT Theater, off CABOT Theater, doing my readings, and we're going to make it a goal that everybody gets a reading, doing the medium thing. also the live readings, talking to your guides, things. If you have that burning question and you want to know about it,
I love it.
come meet me at Off CABOT on the 23rd, and we're going to do the best to answer all of those questions. And if possible, we're working the kinks out in it. We're going to try to broadcast that show live on YouTube.
Nice.
So, Heroin Attitude, we got a lot kicking. So y'all make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I don't care whose room you came in, whether it's Laura's, mine, or what. Hit the button, okay? And make sure you subscribe. We all need help. So
now
we all love a good button pusher, right?
Yeah.
The opportunity. Yes, and we're in Florida for a few more days, and I will reach out to you after this. So absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so February 23rd, Rob, I've got that down.
Yep.
That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and Donna, I want to see that lovely face on Friday night.
Yeah.
Get your question ready, be ready. Let's find out. Yes, and your wife helping. Absolutely. My wife is my earth angel. I will not hide it. I will not say anything, to take away from her. I don't know if I would be alive without her. So, and she's one of those that'll never admit it. So I say, look at all this. Wow. GW Huntzinger. Okay. Emoji King, Queen. All right.
And
hey, Ann, good to see you. Everybody's coming in. Glad to see it.
And thank you, One Divine. That's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And here's one of the things. So let's get started. Like you said, Laura, do you have anything you need to talk about?
I am actually, if you go to my website, I'm going to be doing a very small retreat in Jupiter, Florida in about a month. And there's limited space, very limited space. I think we have a few tickets left. Go to my website, check it out. It's with me, Abby Lynn, and Sherry Div Band, and we're talking about what does the golden age mean and what can we do to help realign our soul, reactivate our soul's purpose and stuff like that. So there's a few spaces left on that one.
You're not going to want to miss it. And Chasity, do you have any events going on?
What's that now?
Do you have any events going on or anything?
Not yet, no.
Well, that's okay. We'll work something up with you. Don't worry about it. But what I want everybody to know and do, you don't have to be an addict or living with an addict to get something useful out of Chastity's channel. I need everybody to subscribe to Unveiling Addiction. Her message is awesome. It's a different place. Chasity, as you know, has been a recovering addict that's been through some of the treatments, and she is an open book and doesn't mind sharing. So if you know somebody, just to get the information so you're not hearing what mainstream media puts out, okay? Right. Join Chasity on the Unveiling Addictions, and you're going to learn a lot. I guarantee it.
I appreciate that, Rob, because I'll tell you, being on people's shows like this has brought me more people that are needing help, really. I mean, I had one girl reach out to me. Her husband was on Suboxone, the same thing that the message to me gets to the people that it needs to get to. I mean, I would like to reach more people because I know there's so many more people out there suffering, but it'll get to who it needs to get to when it does. Right. So no big deal.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're honest, you're raw, you're true. Yeah. I mean, you bring up the dirt, and you know what? You're not afraid of it. When we were talking about doing this show, somebody made a comment on my YouTube channel. Hey, could you do a show about addiction and spirituality?
Right.
I was talking about Rob this last week. He's like, hey, let's bring Chasity. I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
so this is an excellent show, an excellent topic. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's preface this a little bit so people know I've got some new people in here on my show. I spent 4 years in Florida running a medically assisted treatment clinic with some of this stuff, and I see the faults that Chasity is talking about.
Yeah.
So let's get started. And Laura, what was your first statement? I loved it when you said you're getting asked about how addiction and is it spirituality or the human spirit?
What is the role spirituality plays with addictions?
Yeah.
It's not just one size fits all, because humans aren't one size fits all. But I think just to kind of get the ball rolling.
Okay.
With addictions, we have to understand that addicts always want more. Whatever the addiction is, they always want more, right?
Yep.
And so we have to understand that I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's hard. I mean, we all want more, no matter if it's more ice cream at 10 p.m. or if it's right. But
Hey, let's
it's
not
a
talk
big
about the ice cream thing now. Come on, we're getting personal.
Yeah.
Okay, that and PBJs at midnight. You know, hey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to share your secrets.
No.
But in all seriousness, addictions are a huge issue. It's crippling the United States in so many levels.
Yeah.
And so what is it that we can do to help each other, support each other, help myself? And knowing that if we take a step backwards, it's not the end of the road.
No.
I love that. Yep.
And if we take a step backwards, we get to learn from that experience and maybe do something different the next time.
That's right. That's right. I'm so glad you said that, Laura, because when I had you on my show and I told you that, let me give you a prime example of addiction, right? I was really battling some serious stuff at my house with just the situation. I was really I was going through it.
Yeah.
And I had told you, remember, that I went and had a mimosa. I had one mimosa and went and hugged a tree later. Well, that progressed. I mean, the next thing I knew, I was going every Friday and one mimosa turned into two. I mean, it didn't get too out of control, but I'm just saying it started to progress where I was going Friday, having to, okay, first of all, if I'm just going to a restaurant and going to just have a drink, okay, there's something going on there. It's one thing to go and have some food and eat some dinner and have a glass of wine. That's one thing. But to go and to sit down to deliberately just have a drink, you're trying to escape something. And so, and after we had that interview, I was like, oh, I'm good. Right. Next thing I know, I'm one mimosa turns to two mimosa, Friday nights turn to Saturday nights. And I'm like, okay, here I am again. I'm grateful that I'm in this awareness because I didn't let it get out of hand.
Yeah.
But I'm like observing all this. Like it's so easy to get out of hand. And especially it can progress so quickly.
Well, you're bringing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Rob.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
We're good.
So the other element of this addiction is ghosts. When a person dies and when we leave our bodies, we're supposed to cross over to go home to the heavens. A ghost energy is a person who does not cross over, right? And I guarantee you, ghosts, people who die an addict, generally do not cross over for a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. One, if they're heavily intoxicated upon death, they don't know they're dead. They go back to those local bars, those local places, and they're looking for somebody like you that can be an easy target. Yep. You are not an easy target because you had the wherewithal to say, you know what? Whoa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's another element of the spirituality of an addiction, of I don't want to say the dark side, but the negative side, right?
I learned that from you, Laura. I learned that. I never thought about it like that, right? How these souls can attach onto you, and feed you're feeding.
You don't know, and you don't know. Right. They're not just ghosts either. They can be other things.
Chasity, I want to touch on something here, and I think you brought up a point that a lot of people will miss.
Okay.
If you're not careful, because I'm very big about people understanding intentions. Okay. And what you just did was talk about recognizing your intentions. When you first went, it was never your intention to start going down the path of alcohol again. Right. That wasn't your intention. I'll be fine. But all of a sudden, we're going back. We're finding reasons to go back.
Right.
What you did is so important for somebody in recovery, somebody that's trying, to understand, is to literally take a look at why all right, if I'm going to this restaurant because I love their French onion soup.
No.
Then why does a mimosa have to accompany my French
onion?
No,
I went there because I like their mimosa.
But that's what I'm talking about. Once you recognize the intention, you can have your first step, your first breakthrough.
Right.
Okay. And stepping away from it. So
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
that's huge. And I didn't want that to get away from people, because there are people that are listening that need help, and they need to understand, even if you're trying to help somebody, one of the things I would do, and one of the reasons I started sliding tarot into my addictions counseling and oracle cards, was because it allowed people, I mean, to find their intentions and for them to find their ultimate intentions. Because everybody, you know the answer to these questions better than anybody else when you go to rehab. Okay, here's the targeted answer. And until we can break through the bullshit, okay, and get down to what your intention is, you can't break free.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that was never, I was never a drinker. I mean, I would drink, right? But that was not my choice. It was always prescription medication. What did I just, because you didn't get the nastiness. Like, I mean, it did things in other ways, right? But drinking was not something that but I guess I just kind of justified it, or tried to justify it, because, I'm going to a restaurant and I'm having a mimosa or 3. So.
And you're right, though, how an addiction can transform.
Yeah.
Right. And when we can recognize the patterns, because these becomes patterns of our soul, when we can recognize, and from a soul development perspective, breaking patterns is some of the hardest things we can do, especially when they're family patterns. A lot of addictions become are hereditary, right? And maybe we have a predisposition for something. And when we can learn to recognize the pattern, that's, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, at least half the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was so, I was stuck in this loop. I mean, it was a literal loop, and it was insanity. It was absolute insanity. And I had to, I mean, I was still distributing medication for my mother. I was just stuck in this loop. And I'm grateful to be out of that situation, because, I mean, as hard as it was for me to leave that, I am growing and learning more things about myself that I never knew really how powerful I truly was. And I'm learning every day, things about myself. So
that's another important aspect. Everybody who deals or suffers with an addiction, it's a learning opportunity that we carry within us, in our soul, for lifetimes and parallel lifetimes. We have this information that maybe we needed to have these experiences so we can learn what it was like to move forward to the next step, the next whatever. Right. I don't want to say level, because spirituality is never a contest, although a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, okay, I've had the substance abuse issue, I know these patterns, but that stays with me in my soul, in my heart of hearts. Yeah. So I know what those experiences were like, and maybe I can utilize them in a different manner. Rob pulled up a big card, it looks like.
And that's what, here's one of the things I'll do it here. I'm not going to bring the whole thing up, but it's the 6 of Wands.
Okay.
And you're talking about why these things happen, and things happen. Nobody intends to become a heroin addict. Nobody intends to become obese. Nobody intends to, blow their whole paycheck at the track. When we talk about addictions, folks, it's very important to me, and I take this very personal, to understand we're not just talking about drug addicts. Anything to excess can be bad. Even church, even news. If you lose sight of the human factor of love, of caring, you may want to take a step back and look. But like you're saying, one of the things we always remember is a battle that we went through that was hard, okay? But we carry with us, and I think this is one of the reasons we are here, we're spirits having a human experience, is to learn that feeling of victory. Yeah. I was presented a problem, I fell in a trap, whatever, but I was able to rise above it. And ironically, this is the 6 of Wands. So it's about that fire. It's about your spirit. It's about your soul and that vibrant energy within where you're at. And I think that's so important, of seeing somebody rise above, okay? Even if it's just for a little bit. I don't care if you fall. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
but you had a taste of it. So now we can get back up and we can go again.
My soul, when I tell you, I was trying to make all the excuses in the world for why, like not to leave, you know, just because it's uncomfortable, right? It's what I'm used to. As miserable as it was, I've found so much peace within my heart. I managed to like make it work, but I mean, I managed to make it work so much that like my soul was screaming at me. I mean, the universe literally shoved me out the door. I mean, it shoved me out the door. I mean, you know, I think I got into it a little bit with you, Rob. I mean, it just could not be more clear that it was time to make the jump. And so I have shit everywhere. You know what I mean? I got stuff at her house. I got stuff at Houston. I'm in Florida now, you know, like living out of a suitcase. It's okay though. It's okay because I'm not miserable. I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm not miserable. And I'm having the rest of my stuff being shipped up here, you know, so I mean, it's okay, but my soul could not be screaming at me louder. The universe could not be more clear that it was time to freaking go.
And you know what? And Tootie asked a great question that falls right in that with family support system, things like that. Yes. And Tootie, there is no direct answer here. Now, because how families respond is as different as each individual family is. Right. Some families will actually encourage the addiction because you're dealing with addicted parents so that you don't want to feel alone. Okay.
Yeah.
But other families go the complete opposite end. Okay. And they kick them out. They're angry. They're mad or whatnot. You know what? I have told people, you can tell somebody, you know, I love you so much.
Yeah.
That I don't want to watch this. And I want you to go live the life you want to live, but you can't do it here because it hurts my heart. Don't put the blame on them. You can let somebody go. And addictions are talking about codependency too on another person. Yeah. You can let somebody go. And for some reason, the world has told us you have to cut that off. You have to cut it hard. You got to make it hurt. No, you don't.
No.
You never have to stop loving somebody.
No, you don't have to stop loving them. But I think what we're talking about is to enable or not to enable, right? So we can be supportive. We can give people the tools, but they have to be able to come to us and take the tool and use the tool. And I think a lot of times we see these addictions that run through family lines is because of enablement. And karmically responsible for enabling other people. So the lessons that an addict learns, and we all have some form of addiction of something at some point in our lives, right?
Oh, yes.
But what they're learning, yes, but also what are those around us learning as well, right?
Right.
These are all really important, the karmic ripple effect, so to speak. And so as, you know, so-and-so was struggling through the addiction of, you know, I'm going to say some type of heroin or something like that, those around that person are gaining the experiences of how do I handle this? How do I help? How do I not help? What is the balance? So it's so eloquently beautiful in an odd way. It's a weird statement to say about an addiction, but they can provide a lot of opportunities for soul growth and soul.
That's right. Yeah, no, it doesn't sound weird. I guess it's all about perspective, right? Sorry about that. I guess it's all about perspective, but no, it doesn't sound weird because addiction can give you opportunities for your soul to grow. 100%. Yeah.
Chasity, what do you view as somebody, and having been there, okay? Enabling is huge, and there are people, I've watched it. Man, I had people file complaints to me because I would tell them, you're enabling your child. When I would do the family nights and group therapy, you are an enabler. And they would actually file complaints against me. And, you know, don't care. I'm going to say what I need to say regardless.
Right.
But it becomes from support into enabling. How do you view somebody that's enabling? And when they're on that threshold, you know, they're trying to help, but yet they're still enabling a behavior. How is that somebody that's fresh out of it doing this and trying to deal with everything? How do you see it?
So, I mean, giving, you know, still handing money. I don't know if this is what you mean by this, but still handing money, still okay, you know, my ex, right? It's like still battling this. His mom will still give him the keys to the car. She'll still give him money. He's 4 years older than me. Okay. I mean, yeah, you know, it's one thing you're living under the roof with somebody and you're battling with addiction. I mean, even then is boundaries, right? Even then it's like, at what point do you say you need to go? If you can't do something, you need to just go and go live your life, you know, just like you said, Rob, the way that you want to live it. Right. But it's like major enabling is still handing the keys to the car, still giving money, still that's enabling, you know, that's enabling. Giving
Absolutely.
the person love and compassion and support with boundaries is, you know, this is okay. I mean, but I get some people just can't do that anymore either. And that, you know, but that's how I feel about that.
So, Laura, let me ask you this, and Chasity, I want your opinion. When we talk about this enabling and we're talking about the spiritual realm, okay, one of the things I notice in working with families is somebody dealing with any type of addiction. We need that family to get in that spiritual bubble, the tetrahedron, the whatever that is you use, because it will suck your spirituality, your will, right out the door with it. What do you see? You know, we're talking about addictions and spirituality and what it does. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know what I think, okay?
Yeah, we'll
But
bring
where
in.
does this go?
So when we're dealing with somebody who is an addict, and there's certain addictions that are, I'm going to say, more harmful than others. Okay.
Okay.
Very well put.
Let's say fentanyl versus maybe marijuana. Okay.
Right.
You know, we're not talking apples to apples here, but what happens is, and I see this with crystal meth a lot and fentanyl.
Interesting.
Crystal meth and fentanyl create portals to hell.
No
They
kidding.
really do. And they're extremely hard, if near impossible, to open, or excuse me, to close. Because what happens is they create such a huge hard hole in our auric field. It gives them access to us directly. So now not only are you dealing with your addiction, but you're dealing with the demons that are in your head surrounding you to say, take another hit, do this, do that. So now your problem has been amplified, but it's still your responsibility to clean it up. You got yourself there. So when we've got somebody with an addict living in the home like this, it is generally a home that I can clear, but it will not stay clear, because the demons will come back. New demons come in. Okay. So
because they're using the meth and they're using the fentanyl, which makes their access.
Chasity, if you're living in my home, okay,
yeah,
your habit is creating this ultra strong portal.
Okay.
We can clear the portal, but if you're still there, we didn't clear the source of the portal.
Got
so
it.
Reopens.
Especially if you continue to use, if you're on the path of recovery, you're working on things, it can be different.
Wow.
Another really scary thing about fentanyl, and I see this over and over and over, is it obliterates the soul.
That's what you said.
Okay. The soul can cease to exist with fentanyl, guys. This is a big deal.
Ooh.
This is a big deal, and it's a really hard substance. Thank goodness that we're getting some closure to our borders, et cetera, to stop the flow of these drugs.
Wow.
It's horrific on a good day.
When I was still in Florida, and we're not talking about that long ago, and I still had contacts in law enforcement, things like that, and I did undercover narcotics for years, okay, which I don't tell a lot of people about, but it's one of those things. Brevard County, where the missile goes up, okay, Ron Johns, all of that, this beautiful area, which is considered one of the best areas to be in your life, okay? It's a great place to move. They busted a fentanyl load that was big enough to kill every human being in the state of Florida.
We had one in Portland like that. Yep.
And people don't understand it. And I guess here's my thing. And I think this is where TV things, where I want to get on the spiritual level. We've killed a spirit somewhere with our young people or certain people. Their spirit is dead. Okay. And we've got to, if we talk about resuscitation, you know, with abuse, with the, you know, what's
Narcan.
Yeah, Narcan, all of this stuff. We need to find a spiritual Narcan. Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I don't comprehend is when we found out what fentanyl is doing.
Yeah.
I want you to think about the brain pattern of somebody that says, oh, that's killed a shitload of people. All right. But I'm better than that. It won't kill me. And they try it. What, you know, it's kind of like, well, you know, you can take some arsenic, but if you take 1 grain too much, you're dead.
Is this the dark side messing with our ego?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I was actually, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, recently, I think it was about a year ago at a public park somewhere in Portland, Oregon. A mom was, you know, swinging her baby or whatever in the swing set, and the baby died. And it turns out this baby swing was laced with fentanyl.
Holy shit.
So we can't even take our kids to the parks anymore over this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gotten crazy. I mean, this has just gotten absolutely insane. And, you know, you mentioned, Laura, I think you mentioned crystal meth a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things for people that hear about all the craziness that happens on meth, one of the reasons it's so dangerous, people, you need to understand, I'm going to educate you a little bit about what happens with crystal meth. They don't do the damage or do the freak. And Chastity, you might know this from other people or whatnot. When they are high, they are as chill as can be. What happens is when that high leaves and they are coming down.
Yep.
That is when paranoia, hallucinations, and violent behaviors emerge. It's not during the high, it's on the way down. And so beware if you're around that and you're dealing with this and you're wondering what's going on, that be careful if you're bringing somebody down and you think you're helping them. Be careful when they're coming down. That is the most volatile time for a crystal meth addict.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess, you know, one of the things I think we can talk about is what can help.
Yeah.
How can we help somebody who wants to be helped? Because I can want something for you, Reverend Rob, or you, Chastity. I can want something, but if you don't want it, there's not much I can do about it.
That's right.
Correct.
Because I'm violating your free wills. But what can we do to assist? Right?
Right.
What can we do to help an addict? And, you know, one is just the power of prayer.
Yeah.
I'm praying for my loved one's greater good. I'm praying that, you know, they can receive the help that they need. I can't wish for something that they don't want. That's just a big deal. It's a violation, but we can offer help. We can offer suggestions. If they're living in my home, I can ask for angelic help to come in and surround my home over and over and over. And this really helps the angels also rise in their ranks by eliciting their help. And so just, you know, I'm asking for my home to be filled with angels to help my loved one, to help support me. You know, and as you talk to the angelic realms, you start to solidify even more so your connection to God or source or creator, whatever your word is for it.
Right.
And we get a direct line, right? It's a direct phone call. Now, it may take a while to listen and hear or feel like we get a response, but that's okay. There's lessons along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that I want people to understand, and I see this a lot, Chastity, I know you see it. And again, I blame the metaphysical world, okay, for giving a bad mission. Yes, as healers, we are to heal, but it is not our job to heal somebody that doesn't want it.
They have to want it.
and Chasity, would you not agree with that? That if it's one of those things, like I used to watch that show Intervention. I watched like two, and I'm like, all right, this is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever seen. I've never seen a forced intervention actually work.
Right.
Okay.
No.
How do you feel about that? Because that is, I can pray, like Laura said, I can say, God, spirit, angels, open their eyes. But a lot of times they won't get their eyes open until they hit rock bottom. And if I keep giving you a bed over in my house and a soft place to land, you're never going to hit rock bottom. That's so how do you feel about that with the forced interventions and stuff?
I don't. Yeah, forced intervention. Nope, that doesn't work. You have to be ready. I mean, I've been to, I think, 2 different rehabs, maybe like 1 outpatient rehab, and I knew still, and in all of my being, that I'm not gonna stop taking pills. Like, what? No, I always would tell, it's just so crazy now that I think about it. Like, I would always be like, you're asking me to not take a pill the rest of my life. Are you crazy? Yeah, no, that's not what I'm doing, because I use that to mask the pain, to mask all the pain and mask all the suffering and all the shit, right? You have to want it. You have to truly, truly want it. It wasn't until like 2019, after I'd been through so much stuff, I just had this massive spiritual awakening. I call it spiritual assistance, because something a walk-in, whatever. There was something very spiritual that went on that shifted within me. And it's so interesting, because like, even I will talk about that version of myself as if it's not me, even though I do hold myself 100% accountable for everything I've done. Right. But it's like, I'm talking about myself in a past life almost. It's so bizarre, but you have to want it. You're not going to get anywhere with somebody who is not really and truly ready to get to the root of that shit. Yeah.
And so the best thing you can do for them is to let them go.
That's right.
I've told people all along, just because I don't know why it is with drug addicts. Okay.
Right.
That, they fell off the wagon and they failed. They went to rehab. They came out, they stayed clean. They failed. And we're like, well, I'm done with you. We put you through rehab and everything else. You know what? The last time I went on Atkins diet, all right, and I got better and I lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But then I went to the all-you-could-eat chocolate fountain at frickin' Golden Corral. Okay. Nobody from Atkins said I couldn't start over again.
Right.
But we do this to addicts all the time. So what I'm trying to tell people, you have to let them hit bottom, but you have to love them. Yes. You still have to care.
Yes.
I'm getting goosebumps. This is important.
Important.
Love never dies, right?
Correct.
Our love never dies. It can shift dimensions if somebody dies and leaves or whatever. We can get love that way, but love never dies. Love echoes out. So is the addict personality able to receive the love as a part of the issue, right? Can they feel
it? That's what I think is that energy that's blocked because they've surrounded themselves with such a negative energy, a negative force. They've deadened their spiritual senses.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for it. I mean, many people, their goal in life is to simply survive childhood.
Oh,
okay.
Geez. Yeah.
I mean, surviving childhood is a big deal for people.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things happen to children because they don't have a voice. They don't have rights, all of those things.
Right.
And when you are dealing with horrific abuses, what are you going to do? You're going to numb yourself. Okay. Right. You're going to try to escape. And what happens is pieces of the soul disappear. They fall off. So think about, let's say, you're in the streets at night and, the bad guy comes and he starts chasing after you, you run away and he grabs a piece of your clothing or he scratches your skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technically has a piece of you. Think of that as a soul piece. So as you're leaving a traumatic situation, a piece of your soul may break off to persevere the rest of the soul.
Right.
And this is where it's not just shamans that can do soul retrievals. Okay. They don't own that market. but they can be helpful. But this is where soul retrieval can come in handy, because when we have enough pieces of our soul missing, we always feel like we need to fill that void space with something.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that something is, but I'm trying everything, right? And so that's a big deal, is to, the concept of more again. I need more because I have to fill this hole. But we have to understand we're enough. We're enough in God's eyes. We are perfect in God's eyes. And we need to understand that. We need to learn how to love ourselves too.
Yeah.
We talk about those around us loving us, but I have to love myself as well. And it's really hard to love myself if I was told I was born in sin, I'm going to die in sin, God sure wouldn't want me, or all these horrible things happened to me as a child. I was raped, I was this, I was that.
Right.
Surely God doesn't love me, so why not? So not everybody comes from the same foundations.
Exactly. Tootie asked a good question. And
That's
Chasity,
such a good
I'd like
question.
you to field this one first.
Okay.
And then I want to talk about that just a little bit. And then Gillian threw something up there that we're going to get to, because I have my own thoughts and opinions on this from having watched it. But let's start with this one. What do you think about that, Chasity?
This is such a controversial, question, topic, whatever you want to say, right? Because
can you read the question, Chasity?
Yeah. So are drug addicts different than alcohol addicts, right? And that's just so for me, this is, I tried these meetings, these 12-step meetings, right? Or, these AA meetings in whatever, right? And I've literally been to an AA meeting, and because I was a drug addict and not an alcoholic, it's the same thing.
You need to go to an NA meeting and not an AA.
You don't need to be here because in their mind, in their perspective, their alcoholism is better than your pill or heroin or whatever. It's the same shit. It's just a different
widget.
Yeah. And Tootie, one of the things here, having dealt with all of it, what you have to remember, opioids, heroin, especially for older people, the word heroin, horse, H. Here we go. We go back into that 70s. Chasity, you won't even remember this. They were, when I was a kid, in the middle of cartoons, they would actually put public broadcast announcements out at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning for young people that were 19 and 20 that were now flying back and forth, reminding them that Turkey had different laws, and if they get caught, they could be executed in Turkey for trying to bring heroin. So, and why? It's right in the middle of munchie time. You just woke up from the night before. We're watching cartoons, getting stoned, and they were literally putting these ads out. Tootie, it's an addiction is an addiction.
That's right.
But what society deems as socially acceptable.
Right. Yeah.
You can't hide, well, you can hide track marks, but if you're injecting, nobody's going to be around that. It's not like, hey, let's have pie and watch Chasity, fire up,
Right.
No, we're not doing that. But we can all get together for a mimosa.
Exactly. Or 5.
So, and I think to a lot, look at cigarettes. Not one good thing ever came from a cigarette. And when people ask me what's a gateway drug, it is not marijuana. To me, it is a cigarette. Okay.
Donna mentioned sugar. Sugar is just heroin. And in our food industry, high fructose corn syrup is one of the most common food additives.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard. And sugar changes the way your palate responds to other healthy foods also.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
So a sugar addict will find vegetables extremely bitter and intolerable because their food palate has changed. So when you can get rid of sugar for 6 weeks or whatever that is, and just kind of go cold turkey as much as you can, it can be hard with fruits or whatever, but you will find that your foods start to taste more pure, more real than if you have a sugar-coated mouth, so to speak.
Right.
And
you bring up a good point. And the reason it is more insidious because it's a direct, when we take alcohol, we're not injecting it. Okay. We're not snorting it. It's going into the system, and it goes through a liver, it goes through a filter system or whatnot. And it takes more and more to get drunk, but we build up a tolerance to it. But at the same point down the road, if somebody's going to work, they're losing their job, their family's failing, things like this. So there are ways that these drugs and alcohol affect us in different ways. So yes, injecting or using fentanyl, smoking it, however you want to do it, heroin, all right, it has more of a direct impact on us quicker. But alcohol, if it's uncontrolled, will have virtually the same effects, just on different organs of the body. Does that make sense?
For the record, people like you say, they want to be like, oh, heroin, right? But Oxycontin, just so you know, is a hillbilly heroin. I mean, it's a synthetic. It's a heroin. It's heroin. That's what it is. It's the government's way.
It's an opiate
of legalizing heroin. Yeah,
they have the same derivative. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Gillian brought this up, and I know this is going to come from a personal thing we've seen. Okay. Narcan. We kept Narcan, everywhere when we were at the hospital, different things or whatnot. Okay. And now they're giving Narcan out for free.
They sure do.
And one of the things, what do you feel about this statement, Chasity?
I got to be honest. I don't know, because Narcan, we kept it around. I didn't really have it in my house and things until I was caring for my mom. I really didn't. Probably I should have, but I'm just, I wasn't really aware of Narcan really. I mean, I think it was even used on me once whenever I had my own experience with an overdose, but I never really knew much about it. So I don't know if I can really answer that question.
Here's one of the things I saw. Okay. People, especially in that young thought model, when I talked about, and Gillian, great question.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Young people especially, think they're impervious. This won't happen to me.
Right.
All right. And I had the case of a young man, okay, that I was working with, had actually cleared a spot for him in rehab. They were going to take him in. He was going, okay, literally going. He got high, fell out. Somebody Narcaned him. All right. He came back, canceled his rehabilitation, and was just like, oh, I've got a permanent safety net. Doctors should tell people all the time, you've done this too much. It's not going to have an effect.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I am with his mother in the emergency room when they tell her son's dead.
Holy shit, Rob. Wow.
And this is, again, he was there. We were there. Enter Narcan.
God,
so that's a one case scenario. It has saved lives. Okay. But sometimes we need to figure out what we're doing. Okay.
Ooh. Yeah.
And because again, they say always have Narcan, because when you're using with somebody, if they go out, you use them. Chasity, how many times when
starts to make me wonder, why are they giving it out now? Right? Like, I never even thought about it on that perspective.
Because it makes them feel like they're doing something.
People. Yeah.
Again, we're not addressing the issue.
Right.
Okay. We're not addressing the problem. When you used, okay, how many times did you use, or can you give us a percentage of how many times you used alone?
Oh, geez.
More than with somebody?
Yeah. I was always alone. That's how I liked it.
Okay.
Alone. Yeah.
And that's my point. So when you fall out and you're alone,
nobody's there.
No. We go along with this with friends, and here's something very, I talk, 90% of the people say, well, 90% of the people I know do it, so I do it. Okay. But almost everybody, when they die, they're found, their friends will actually drive them to the hospital, kick them out of the car, and they're found alone.
Yep.
So we've got to change our mindset about this. And again, this gets back into when you hear all these behaviors, back to what Laura was saying about portals, about crushing our spiritual attachment to anything bigger and better than us. And by the way, I'll go into a whole routine with you about AA. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it can crush us, and but we all die alone. You know, the majority of people are dying alone. So something is happening in our society. It was funny. You know, I heard you talking about that, you know, addiction, opioid things are, you know, it's a disease. Okay. And yes, in the DSM-5, in social work and clinical work, things like that. Now there is a classification for substance use disorder. Okay. So it is a disease. All right.
I don't think I said it was a disease, but
no, somebody did. But however, it is a disease of choice because we don't realize how bad we are. How much? Just like diabetes is a disease. But could we kill it? Sure. Stop with the PBJs at midnight.
That's
you know, that type of thing, you know.
And you know, our biology, you know, we're told, this is along the same lines, but sort of not really, but like certain cancers run in the family. Well, just because so-and-so had a certain cancer doesn't mean that I have to have it. If I have the belief structure put in place that, oh, my mom had breast cancer or whatever, I will have it. It's not a guarantee, but if we change our thought pattern, because thoughts are things, it can really be freeing on a spiritual level. And the same goes with these addictions, is we have to be able to learn how to hand our problems off, but accept responsibility at the same time. You know, ask God for help. This problem is bigger than me. It's bigger than what I can handle. But we have to be in the right mind frame and removing these entities, because man, they puppet these situations like crazy. I have worked with former addicts, and when we're crossing people over, and somebody had mentioned, thank you very much, about the crossing over animals thing that I did last week. It was great, but crossing over,
I missed it.
Addict is one thing. So crossing over, when I was working with somebody who's an addict, a recovered addict, what happened was we ended up crossing over addicts that died in homeless encampments in the state. It was like a long process.
Wow.
Because an addict doesn't, if you die under the influence, you don't know you've left your body.
Yep.
So you're wandering around like, what the heck, or whatever it is. And so crossing over,
you may not know you're dead.
Yeah.
Because you're having that.
You missed the memo, right?
Yeah.
So when we cross, and by the way, anybody who's listening to this, don't assume your loved one has crossed over, especially if they died with a substance in them, including morphine. Okay.
That's right.
Morphine is, I'm going to call it a necessary evil, because when somebody is on morphine for pain, end of life, it is very much needed. However, make sure they cross over. Bring in angels to ask that angels to come in and cross over Aunt Sally, you know, that kind of thing. It's not that hard. It's how to do it instruction wise is in my book, Soul Tribe, Navigating the Spiritual War. It's very detailed.
Yeah.
$10 or whatever it is. But addicts will not cross over on their own. And then they get puppeted in death by those dark beings also.
Yeah.
I see this over and over and over. So we have to assume that an addict does not cross over and to work to cross them over. Yeah. At the same time, we got to be careful, but bring in the angels to help you do that work.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, like you said, you bring up morphine. We keep bringing these drugs up by name, and they're all an opiate.
Yeah.
They all stem from opiate.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we have to remember. Okay. So just because a drug or this or that, you know, when I'm going to bring this up about AANA. Okay. People using Subutex, methadone, or whatnot, okay? I have no problem with it if they have an end game that they're stepping out of an uncontrolled substance into a controlled substance, but there's a wean down process so you're free at some point. It's when we put them on Subutex, methadone, and we just hand that out for the next 20 years,
Yeah.
I have an issue with that.
That's
okay.
right.
But at
Perpetual
least
money
they're
maker.
trying to do something. So don't take that away from them. Okay. Again, come at this from a side of love, not anger, not anything else. Here's my problem with AA. I would have to tell somebody that I watched, I held their hand as they went through withdrawals in our rehab center, because we had an actual live rehab center. And let me tell you something. If they're giving you steak and potatoes and things like that in your rehab center, it ain't going to work, because you're not going to get that. You need to have one like we had, hard bed. Here's your vinyl pillow, so when you throw up, and here's one blanket. All right. Because we're not giving you a false attitude of what you're going into when you leave and go back out on the street.
Yeah.
But they're taking the step. You want help? We're going to help you. I would try to set up a step down process. One of the things I didn't like was I was being blocked from doing that, because that was not the point of the program.
That's crazy, Rob. I know we already talked about it. And it's like, it's like every time I hear it, it's like I hear it for the first time because it pisses me off, but it's not. I hear it so many times, but it just really.
I hear you. But here's the kicker. Some people would say, I want to go to an NA meeting or an AA meeting, and I would have to pull them aside and say, when you go, do not tell them you're on the Subutex program.
Well, yeah.
They will kick you out of the meeting, because they'll be like, you're not clean.
Yep.
The other irritating point is I knew somebody, okay? Man, went through the world, 20 years sober. When do you get to declare victory over it? Okay, no, they always, every week, they have to go in and say, I'm an addict, I'm an addict. So there's that reinforcing behavior that I don't like. The other thing is, and now they've helped thousands, if not millions of people. So I don't want to take that away from them.
Yeah.
But, you know, at some point, can you not declare there's an end? You know, I'm successful. Here's this. And then I had people coming back to me going, Rob, I went to those groups. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to smoke, until I went to that meeting and heard how horrible everybody's shit was. And I walked out of there going, oh my God. And then they found out, you know where I go if I want to get high? Where? To an NA meeting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So folks, be careful. Their intention is good, okay? But just like everything else, if you're a person doesn't believe in a higher power, you know, used to be you had to believe in God for AA. You had to say God, okay? They changed everything to believe in something higher than yourself, because people stopped going, because a lot of people don't believe in a God anymore, okay? So if you don't believe in something higher than yourself, something higher than God, AA, NA can't help you.
Yeah.
So you have to find some alternatives.
Well,
and therein lies the problem.
Cecily brought up a good point, that where these AA meetings or AA in itself can be an addiction, right? Because I know my stepdad goes every single day, sometimes twice a day. And I'm like, yo, you know, he's sober, but it's like, dude, but I do know he slipped up a couple of times, but it's like, that's an addiction in itself. Like you're addicted to being, I am an addict. You know what I mean? Like that's just, Cecily brought up such a good point with that. That resonates deeply.
Exactly. And this is one of the things. And I think, you know, in what Gillian was saying, shouldn't they be charged or whatnot? You know what? When you have an alarm system on your house, most people have gone to this now, or on your business, law enforcement will only respond 2 or 3 times for free. After that, if it's a false alarm, you get charged by the city for taking our resources, and you're not being responsible for your system. So I don't see why something like that couldn't go into effect, or whatnot, holding people responsible.
Used to be, so when they need to pay for these services. If I go to the doctor, I have to pay for this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an accountability issue. Handing out Narcan over and over and over. And I've got a couple police officer, I'm going to call them friends, who talk about this Narcan as a problem. Yeah. Because they keep going to the same house over and over and over, wasting resources when they're dealing with an overdose here, but down here, there's somebody with a gun to their head.
That's
over
crazy.
there, and they can't get over there because they're dealing with a Narcan issue. And if they fail with a Narcan, the officer gets in trouble.
And let me give y'all a peek into that from a law enforcement standpoint.
Yeah.
Especially in smaller departments where resources, manpower are minimal. You wonder why cops get pissed, okay? Same situation. I got somebody over here who's ODing, but I've got a domestic violence situation over here that might have a weapon involved. There's only 2 of you on duty.
Wow.
Now I have to go to the domestic violence situation where I am apt to get hurt with a lack of backup and support because I'm dealing with this other situation. I'm not saying this is right, folks. I'm not saying cops know what they're signing up for. And I'm not all about cops being pissed off, okay? But they are human, all right? And it does present a problem, okay, of we're going to the same house over and over and over again. Well, whenever these houses exist, we are putting men and women at risk because you never know when something's going to go haywire.
Yeah.
And it's not just, well, it's an OD. It's not. So now that ambulance is out of service and your mom or dad has a heart attack and they have to wait on an ambulance from another jurisdiction or another precinct to get to you. And I have seen people DOA because the ambulance was too far away to get to them because they were running somebody else for something stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's bigger problem than what we realize.
Yeah.
Okay?
I can't believe I even
stressor on public services.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Huge.
You know, Tootie brought up where to find Laura's book. Also in my link tree, okay, y'all will find out, all right, that all of her self-defense courses are in my link tree. Just go down in the description, click on them. Laura Self-Defense, in there is the book, you know, those type of things. But then there's my books, Gillian's books. Everything else is in my link tree, but you can find everything right in the description. But thank you, you know. So, wow, what a great show. Thank y'all. You're absolutely, you know, Chasity, I can't get enough of Chasity. Okay?
Thanks.
I just can't. But I'm down in
Don't
the
put
dumps.
me in a better mood. I'm not as grouchy anymore.
You just like my dirty laundry.
Yeah, no, I told you I was open and honest. Okay.
Yeah.
I go to Facebook and you know how on the phone up top, it's everybody's little movies that they have going or whatnot, excerpts. The first thing I look for is Chasity dancing. Because it's hard. You do a service and you need to understand this for people to help liven their. Sometimes it just makes you feel alive. And the fact that you're willing to put yourself out there and be silly, I need more people like you because that's what I do in a way. All right. What Laura does, guess what? If we can't laugh at ourselves, there's the first place to start looking.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, thank you. You know what? Actually, I did post on my story today. I'm working at a gymnastics place, so I'm tumbling again.
Oh, good.
So I got that. And I am starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in my current situation. So I do plan on dancing again. I just kind of had to get in my power. So yeah, thank you for that, Rob. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't put on my little Speedo and dance with you. It's not going to be received exactly the same way. It's really not. Okay. So Chasity, let me ask you this before we go. I'm going to start with you. Is there something you want to put out there? And everybody needs to check out Unveiling Addictions and subscribe to Chasity. Help her get this thing going.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I mean, I'm pretty sure I get repetitive with this. I just, you know, we got to drop the judgment on addiction. You know, I mean, we don't understand what people have gone through. I mean, I just had my cousin on my show, right? My cousin lost her mother from an overdose. Okay. And, you know, I didn't even know that her mother, which was my aunt, shot her up at 9 years old with heroin. So she didn't stand a chance. I mean, there are some people that are living in this environment that don't stand a chance, that don't know anything else, that this is their norm. This is normal to them. And we have to stop with the freaking judgment. We have to show love and compassion. That's, I mean, that's just the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm like, oh, you want to judge this person? Let me tell you what I did. Judge me, seriously, because I know I'm really well put together right now. And it seems like I didn't do a lot of the things that I did, in fact, do. And that's why I'm like, no, like, let's not get it twisted. Let me tell you all these things that I did that was really screwed up, right? Because people can change. They just, well, I mean, I found my love and support online really through everyone. But I mean, truly, I just dug so deep within and had some spiritual assistance, because sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I pull myself out of that shit? But I did, so, we just have to have a little bit more, and I did, and I successfully did. And so now I'm going to make sure that people just have a little bit more love and compassion for things like this. This is, people don't have a choice in these things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right.
Miss Laura, you got something you want to finish with?
I couldn't have said it any better than Chasity did. And we have to address the spiritual elements of addictions. You look at, maybe Britney Spears, who was in best of class, world class addiction facilities, yet she kept falling back. I'm not judging that, but it's a spiritual issue as well, period. And when we can start connecting with God and releasing those demons back to God, it really helps with those voices in the head, that pressure we feel to, do more, take more. And again, it's that an addict is trying to fill a void in something in their life, and they want more of something. So address, what is your more and why is it more? Mm-hmm. And then you have to remember and say it to yourself in the mirror. I love you and I am enough.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It starts with you. It ends with you. And we're all connected.
I agree. I agree. And here's the thing. Judgment has no place with love.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
I can look at a book, but you can't read a book by its cover. And the reminder of the only person, okay, that could ever judge anybody said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. All right. Because you don't know where this started. And that's one of my things about addiction. Hate the problem, love the people that are caught in it. You can cut them loose with love. You can let them hit bottom because this is the life they're choosing. Let them be there, ready to catch. I'm here, okay? But love, we've got to look at this, and we're looking at the problem. The next thing is, I would say, you need to understand people are going to run to Subutex, they're going to run to methadone clinics, they're going to run to Sublocade, okay? All of these things are there. They're there to help, okay? They're not the answer.
No.
All right? And what I strongly believe, and I had this and it worked, I had a very successful program, is that person needs therapy, okay? They need to talk to somebody on an individual basis so we can find out and come in the back door of how you got started, what's going on, why is this an issue, okay? Because that's different for everybody. Everybody may share the same symptoms.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they got the sickness in the same way.
Yeah.
So that's what I urge people to do.
Yeah.
So that's my big thing. Ladies, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Chasity, wonderful to see you again.
You, girl. Yeah. Always love seeing you.
Likewise. Yes.
All right. So here we go. So everybody, as always, take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. See everybody later.